Here come the Irish.
WeAreNDNation.com is where you can go to get all your latest Notre Dame news, notes, and highlights on the season.
Touchdown, Notre Dame!
Featuring the new We Are ND Nation podcast hosted by me, Evan J. Thomas, and special guests throughout the season.
No one comes into our house and pushes us around.
Make sure you check out the Tailgaters Show, the travels of Rudy the Golden Gnome, and more. Follow We Are ND Nation on the socials, WeAreNDNation.com.
We are ND Nation! Go Irish!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to We Are ND Nation podcast. Evan J. Thomas here, along with former Notre Dame quarterback Mr. Malik Zaire. What's up, my man?
We're here again, another time at it, man. I'm excited. What we got to talk about today?
We have a lot going on. I mean, we have the Notre Dame holy shit overtime victory against Florida State the other day. I want to start talking about how was your first game as OC?
Oh man, coaching is a lot harder than playing because you don't get to physically do it yourself. But we actually have a rivalry game on Friday against our rival for the Milk Bucket, and Lakewood. We're looking to do our thing out there and regain it. We haven't won in a long time, so this is our chance to get it done. And these guys are excited. We got it pumped up and got a good game plan.
So did you win the first game last week, or what happened?
Oh my goodness! So we beat ourselves. I'm not going to give credit to the other team. We beat ourselves, but. We're changing the culture around from a team that was rated 0. We're trying to turn them into heroes.
Oh, that's a great way to do it. And why not learn from some of the best former players too, man? I mean, that's fantastic. Right. So hopefully you got the good, like you said, rivalry game this weekend. Obviously, Notre Dame had their rivalry game to start off the season. Now, we all know how that score went, 41-38 at Florida State in overtime. As Florida State missed a potential game-winning field goal in overtime. Jonathan Dorr connected on a 41-yarder. Notre Dame had that 18-point lead at the start of the fourth quarter. And you and I have talked about leads in the past. Obviously, with that Northwestern game, I don't want to talk about it much anymore. But backup quarterback for Florida State, Mackenzie Milton, dude, that guy from UCF, he came out of nowhere and just brought them back. What was your first take? What is your first, just reaction after that game was over?
Well, that's why we get those primetime slots in the college football world, because we're going to give the best show, whether it's another ranked team and we're supposed to demolish them. They're always going to make it a Super Bowl and make it a good game for us. And to see us have some adversity at a place that isn't easy to win at, and it's the first game of the season really in 2 years with that type of crowd environment, we went in there and proved a lot for not only a different quarterback change, but to have guys in new positions and trying to start the season hot. So from the being able to win that game shows that we can finish. Last time we was there in overtime, we wasn't able to finish, and I thought we had a better team than this year, but they're proving to get the job done now. Florida State still isn't a ranked team, and I don't think they was slotted to win anything very serious. So let's still keep that in mind, that it's still a Florida State team that isn't the team that came off of 2 national championships not too long ago.
Well, if you think about the game too, like you said, you had finally fans back in the stadium at Florida State. You had the recent death of Bobby Bowden. You had the comeback of Mackenzie Milton in the game. So, I mean, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on for Florida State there that just they had it in their sights that we're going to overtake Notre Dame and beat them. But like I read and saw what Brian Kelly said at the end of the game, teams like this normally lose. Notre Dame would normally have probably lost this game, but because they had that willpower and that just, like you said, the finishing to win. I mean, I don't know if you could say they got lucky on the missed field goal in overtime, but there were some things that built up to that. So they kind of, like you said, finished well with that whole series.
Yeah, and I do think that we were a better team anyway on a talented side of things, where from across the board, we're just a better team on paper. So when it came down to execution, I believe that we had a really good showing of when it mattered, and we really got to see a good variety of the ball spread around on offense, and to see some guys make plays that we wasn't really thinking maybe too much of going into the season, and then the guys that we expected came to play, like Kevin Austin, man. What a great guy that we're unveiling to the college football world. But I think in-house we knew that he had some ability like that before.
And Jack Coan, 26 of 35, 366 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception was basically the Hail Mary at the end of the game. Broke a Notre Dame record for the most yards in a season debut. Holy shit, what did you think? And what were you surprised by his performance? Because to me, they were stating him as a game manager. Yet on Sunday night, he was not. He was totally different.
Well, I think one thing is that Jack is a great fit for that offense and what Tommy Rees wants to do with the football, along with the fact that he's a veteran and that if anybody, he understands the way Tommy is kind of want to go about structuring the game. And Tommy's been slotted as a game manager. So for them to have similar games, in my opinion, you're talking about two guys that probably click on kind of the way the swing of the game flows. It makes sense, and so for him to go out there and do what an extension of Tommy, what he would do in that situation, I think we saw that on display this time. But also it's still an unranked Florida State team. We're the number 9 team in the country, so I would love to see him do this with a equal to or comparison to talented team that we're going against and continue this. I mean, it's the first game of the season, so a lot of people start off hot, but we know when it gets to that November, when we play that Pittsburgh in the shitty weather, that, it makes us look a lot more human. So it's a good start, but, we have a very long way to go before we start touting this guy as the guy that's up next.
And one of the guys' major standouts on the offense, tight end, sophomore Michael Mayer, 9 catches, 120 yards, 1 touchdown, but he also had 2 drops, and one was costly at the end of regulation that basically put them right there to actually either kick a field goal or, take one more shot at the end zone.
Yeah, I actually don't mind the offense living and dying on Michael Mayer. I mean, he's a first-round talent.
Dude's going to be
– he's great at what he's doing. So if we live and die over him catching and dropping passes, I mean, at least we know we got in our best players' hands on offense.
Yeah, and the announcers were saying they're like, oh, he's probably going to drop like only 4 balls all year when fortunately he dropped 2 Sunday. So hopefully that's as much as we see.
You got 2 more to go to make him right. So you got some
exactly.
room.
The one thing, though, that bothered me and most Notre Dame people that watch a game was the one-dimensional offense. So rushing the ball, we only had 35 carries, 65 yards. Kyron Williams, 18 carries for 42 yards. Was it that Florida State defensive line? Because that transfer from Georgia, that guy was all over the field on Sunday.
Well, I think Tommy and what he's going to be able to show this year is that we're going to go game by game and have a plan for each team differently. I think some games we have enough talent to do that. So some games we'll have to throw more. Some games we have to run more. But to have the ability to do both and to have Jack be able to handle both of those type of situations in week-to-week planning, I think that'll make us more versatile on offense. I mean, we put up a whole bunch of points that first game away. Usually that doesn't happen, so for a team to study us and think we're a passing team, great. I hope they do, because I know that we'll always be able to run in some way. So I think every week is going to look a little different. Every week you don't know if we're going to be a run or pass team, but I think we're going to fit what the defense gives us. And Tommy's got that creative style of play calling, and we have a variety of guys that can be in those spots that I'm sure we'll see a lot of different guys make plays. Like Avery will make a game, Kyron would have his game, Michael Mayer will have his game. So that's the good part about our offense this year, that we are multi-dimensional, in my opinion, from the different levels that we can attack from the offensive side of it.
Well, if you think about the game too, 35 carries. Yeah, we only got 65 yards, but those 35 carries then pushed it to the fact that Cohen can toss that ball downfield, which he did. So
it's true balance.
Yeah, exactly. It was the balance of the game because he had okay. Here we go. 35 passing attempts, 35 carries. There you go. How balanced more can you get? You're 50-50 right there. So
Exactly, and I think that's exactly how they want to be. And as a fan, you're gonna look at the numbers, but just pay attention to just the flow of what the defense is allowing us to get off. I mean, that first drive of going no huddle, that seemed like the way to kick off. And I mean, we hit it at 4 plays for a touchdown, and it just showed that at least this year we can adjust to what teams are giving us. We're not just gonna be stuck on just the one thing we saw on tape. We can actually evolve throughout the game and have different tempos and be successful.
And to kind of switch gears a little bit, so the defense gave up 178 passing yards, 264 rushing yards on 48 carries, gave up a handful of big plays with 250-plus yard touchdowns. And they also, like we said, gave up the 18-point lead that we had in the fourth quarter. Do you see Marcus Freeman's defense? Is that just an anomaly for just the atmosphere they were in where they just couldn't really stop it for a little bit?
Well, yeah, for his first game as a Notre Dame defense coordinator, I wasn't, necessarily expecting it to be lights out considering they are a very aggressive defense. Coach Lee, I think, was more of a top-down. He wasn't looking to really give up too many explosive plays, but you'll catch us in an explosive play here or there due to the nature of how we're trying to get after the quarterback and show different looks with that front seven. So for us, I mean, I remember when we had an aggressive defense and gave up 50 points in our first game. So at least it's not that. And we came out with the W. But their defense is going to settle in as the year goes in. They have something to actually review from playing a team outside of us playing our offense. So they'll be able to see some of the things that other teams try to attack them with, and they'll adjust as the year goes on. But I am excited that I got to see the D-line actually move the quarterback off his spot a couple times. We haven't seen a consistent rush, at least bothering the quarterback on that side of the football in a long time. We had that guy moving around. So I think it proves that we do have some good things coming in the future.
I mean, we did have 5 sacks. I think I read 8 quarterback hurries. And a lot of those turned into actually interceptions, being by Kyle Hamilton. And actually all 3 interceptions turned into eventual touchdowns by the offense. So those turnovers turned into 21 points, which obviously is a turning point for the whole game.
And the most important part is that it's actually entertaining to watch us play both sides of the ball.
Yes.
To where you're not just getting bored watching these games all day. And I think that's something that is more engaging for us than years in the past. And maybe it's a better thing for the spirit to stay alive in us that we can make, an impact against these teams that we keep falling to.
And the one little issue, obviously, Kyle Hamilton, after the second interception, he took his helmet off, got the 15-yard penalty for taking the helmet off and unsportsmanlike conduct, but that really didn't deter the offense and moving the ball. So kind of
with the NIL and all these guys trying to create their brands, I feel like that's just early on, that's just what's going to happen sometimes. And, a guy like Kyle Hamilton with 2 picks in a game like that, you can afford one of those because, he'll make it up in the back end.
And to me, the coaching was fantastic because if there really wasn't many anything that we really did that shot us in the foot, except for the interception at the end of the game, which to me that doesn't even freaking count, but it does. But yeah,
to be able to execute for a first-time quarterback in the offense, really kind of getting together in an environment like that, it shows that we got a lot of resiliency in there as well, to where, we can figure things out on the fly, which is going to be beneficial for us. And it gets later in the season because we can look back on this game and see how we were able to handle it. And the thing I like about Jack, he wasn't phased, he was giving guys chances downfield. He was, getting sacked, and you couldn't tell, good, bad, or indifferent. So that type of attitude is going to hold a young team like this together, especially that offensive line, and he's going to get those guys in the right way.
And it's definitely interesting seeing him being more of a pocket passer than Ian was. But Cohen did take a few, times where the pressure just kind of got to him, kind of caved in, and he just had to take off forward. So just seeing him trying to run was a little funny compared to what we're used to with Ian Book.
Yeah, but the good thing I do like about Jack is that in replacement of being able to do that as well, he's putting the ball in great positions for guys downfield, which is I even like more, because at least we know that we got some guys that can compete for the football and can get some big plays, and he knows it too. I think he moves well enough to push it downfield. He doesn't have a strong arm, but he's no different than Tommy, man. Tommy and Eifert, Tommy would just throw it up to him and give him a good chance. And I think Jack is very similar in that way.
And after the game, we all saw the post-game comments from Coach Kelly. Obviously, he was asked by ABC's Katie George, about holding off the furious Florida State rally. Kelly said, jokingly apparently, "I'm in favor of execution. Maybe our entire team needs to be executed after tonight. We just didn't execute well." So that's a quote from John McKay, former Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach. That joke just fell flat, but he's getting a lot of flack over that one comment that to me was just a dumb kind of joke that nobody understood at first.
Well, yeah. Well, number one, the quote from McKay was given to him after a loss. So,
yeah,
it didn't even start off the right way. Secondly, we lost the last time we were there in a situation similar, but this time we won. So I think from the magnitude of that alone, you should speak about what actually happened from the game. Yeah, we may not have played perfect, but I mean that's like 4 or 5 on the list of the amazing things that took place for the team that you could have said. Now I get all being, I think he was looking at it from the perspective of this is an unranked team. We should have, not made it this close, which I agree as well, which I see why you wouldn't be able to get too excited for. But for a quarterback that you hired off the street, in a sense, to come in and run your football team in a hostile environment and come out with a win, I would expect you to, at least be a little more joyous from the sense that it's not going to be perfectly executed. And, it's just Coach Kelly just trying to be Coach Kelly. I think he's better when sticking to original quotes and stuff that he does, because clearly he's bad on repeating other people's work.
Especially in the wrong context. So
yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? Did you not just see the game you played? Execute. So I think he had on his mind before he even got the question answered to him.
Well, I think maybe he thought he was going to use it either in a win or a loss. So he could have had it available for either one. Obviously, he used it at the wrong time. So.
Yeah, I thought he was a football coach, not a comedian.
Exactly. So we're going to go into one of Malik's favorite segments. We're going to start off the segue to name that former Notre Dame player. And hopefully Malik knows his former Notre Dame quarterbacks, because this one's a good one. So are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Think you can give me? Okay. So this quarterback played at Notre Dame from 2009 to 2011, 3 years. He had a total of 15 starts at Notre Dame. His total career in college football, 302 completions, 554 attempts, 54.5% passing, 3,600 yards, 20 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. Do you think you know who it is?
I think I do.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick little break here, and we will see if Malik knows. Name that former ND player. We'll be right back here on the We Are ND Nation podcast. Evan J. Thomas, Malik Zaire.
I am award-winning published photographer and journalist Evan J. Thomas, and I'll be bringing you badass artists from the genres of music, art, sports, radio, as well as TV and movies. On the Badass Podcast, you will hear raw, bold, blunt, and honest conversation-style interviews where no topic is off limits. Check out the show at badassproductions1.com and go to the On Demand tab and pull up the Badass Podcast where you can watch or listen to your favorite show. Get ready, because I am Evan J. Thomas, and this is fucking badass.
All right, back here We are ND Nation Podcast. Evan J. Thomas, Malik Zaire, former Notre Dame quarterback, talking about, actually now we're talking about name that former Notre Dame player. So before the little break, I gave Malik the rundown of who this former quarterback was at Notre Dame. He played from 2009 to 2011, 3 seasons. He had 15 starts. I was wrong. He had 17 starts at Notre Dame, not 15. Maybe that changed your mind. 302 completions, 554 attempts, 54.5%, 3,600 plus yards, 20 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. Name that former player.
When he says the kid from Calabasas, Jimmy Clausen.
Who?
Jimmy Clausen. God.
Damn it. He also, if I would have said this, transferred to Kansas for his senior season.
Oh, dang, Chris. I wish you would have said that first.
I couldn't say that. I would have given it away.
Dang, Chris, man. Hey, shout out Dan Chris. I actually met one of his good friends the other day. So,
well, there you go. Thank Chris. Thank Chris was the answer to this week's name that former ND player.
I know my history if I got all the info.
but again, if I would have given you that, you would have gotten it.
I was thinking of 3-year guys going to the league, you know. And Chris, a good trivia question, man.
Well, if you remember, Jimmy Clausen, I think, got drafted in 2010. I didn't have any draft info on Chris because I don't think he actually got drafted, obviously. So
he was right before Tom. So I was trying to think who was right before Tom.
Yes, he was. All right. So we are into segment 2, and we're going to be talking about, obviously, this week's coming game against Toledo Rockets. We have 6-year head coach Jason Candle. Let's see. Toledo actually won their game. Crap, I didn't even bring up the stats. So I don't have that right now. But Notre Dame plays this week against Toledo at home. So it's a home opener for Notre Dame. And I'll go over some stats of the players here shortly. But what are you looking forward to this coming week against a MAC team?
Well, it's important for us to prove that we're the team that we think we are this week. And that's to come out and try to put as many points on the board as possible and not make it close. I think it's one of those things where as this team is progressing, the thing that will slow us down is if we make this game to the wire. We already did that with an unranked team in Florida State, but we need to take it up and establish that we are a team to reckon with and be able to put the nail in the coffin early and often.
And looking at what Toledo is going to be throwing at us, they had this past week quarterback Carter Bradley went 8 for 12 with 183 yards, 1 touchdown. Rushing, they had for a team 39 carries for 205 yards with 4.3 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. So they're pretty good on the run. They had running back Jack Coan, 9 carries for 82 yards for a 9.1 yards per carry. Holy cow. And then Devin Maddox, 2 catches, 91 yards, 1 touchdown. He had an 84-yard catch on that. There was 8 wide receivers that had catches on Toledo. Do you think that might be an issue for Notre Dame for Saturday?
Well, I believe that we'll have some explosive plays that we'll give up. I think that's just going to happen each game for us until we identify that Cam Hart lockdown type of corner. I think it can be, but I think we'll sacrifice some of those explosive plays, but I think we'll create a lot of turnovers like we did in the first week. And so it's just a give and take, but I think if we can get these in the early quarters, the first and second quarter, I think we'll have a lot of success and more success in the second half to make sure that we don't give up as many points in the second half either.
So obviously going against our defense, that's what the offense has to offer. What do you think that Tommy Rees is going to have a different plan for the offense this coming week? Do you think they're going to do more rushing heavy, or do you think they're going to kind of balance it out like they did obviously against Florida State?
It'll just be interesting. I think we're a very balanced team overall. He'll probably try to stick more towards a balanced call set. Just different guys highlighted this week. I think we'll see a good dose of Chris Tyree and Kyron just to get the score up, knowing we probably be able to rush against a MAC defensive line with this younger experienced offensive line just to clean up some things that we missed out on last week against a very experienced D-line. And so we want to establish probably more of our identity early on with the run, and then get back to doing what Jack does best, pushing the ball down the field with some of the playmakers towards the end. So I think we'll have a nice spread of the football as well. I mean, I was seeing everybody involved in last week's win, and I don't think that'll change moving forward.
And with this being the first home game, basically, in 2 years that there's going to be fans at Notre Dame Stadium, do you think, Toledo might have an issue early on with just the amped up crowd? Because that crowd is going to be insane to start off the game.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you play an away team, the crowd, you have to think about the impact of it. Playing at Notre Dame is not easy either, and I think we'll have some good, especially with the defense having an aggressive style, we'll get some good penalties on our end to get some momentum and potentially use the crowd in our favor to get some turnovers as well. So all three phases of the game are active, and the crowd's going to be that fourth player for us.
Now, I thought about doing a third segment, but I actually think we should just go right to it. You want to do predictions?
I got us winning a lot to little. Hopefully it's 63-14. 63-14, we establish ourselves as a team to be reckoned with in college football.
Let me put that down. What was your score?
63-14.
63-14. You think they're going to put up 63 points? Wow.
I think Coach Kelly and Tommy Rees, it's a new day in that offense.
I mean, that's 9 touchdowns right there, man.
Okay, I'll say 56. I'll say 56. I think we get in the 50s. If we got in the 40s against a Florida State team at their place, we can get into the 50s, 60s at home.
Okay, now I'm kind of following your lead there, because I actually originally had it at 48-17. So now that you said if we don't get into the 50s against Toledo, I'm kind of with you there. You almost have to, especially if you just put on 41 on Florida State at Florida State.
Afterwards, the way that was only 3 points in the overtime, so we can.
That is true too. Compared to what did I see the other day? There was 27 points on each team in one overtime game, which was just crazy because they went 3 overtimes or whatever it was. But yeah, the fact that we should be able to put up points against Toledo, especially on that defense, they gave up a lot of yards and also a lot of points this past week as well. So just looking at that, damn, you have it at 56-14. I'm still going to keep it at 17 for Toledo. For some reason, I think they're going to get an extra field goal, a little cheapy, maybe at the end of the game.
Yeah, I definitely can see they're going to get a couple explosives. I think Kyle will shut it down by the second half, and we should be able to, limit them to little points.
All right, I'm going to go 51-17, just that extra field goal after the 48. So with the 48, add the extra. So I think we'll be good.
Yeah.
I think we'll be 2-0. We're number 8 right now, moving up the ranks. That's the other thing I'm kind of a little shocked about, that we only moved up 1 game, but obviously because we barely won at Florida State, an unranked team. But yeah, there was other teams that jumped up higher, and Clemson only dropped down 3, I think it was. It was interesting.
Yeah, Clemson, I think they'll drop out of the top 10 by the end of the year.
Well, they have a kind of a cush schedule for the next few weeks, so we'll see how that works out. I mean, you still got Ohio State, you still got Oklahoma, and then holy shit, Bama. What can you say?
You need a number 1 draft first-round quarterback if you want to beat Bama.
Basically, you do, and even then you'll be even lucky because they have some horses on defense and offense, and it seems like no matter who they have at quarterback every year, they just keep spinning them through. So it's like, it's just one of those. So there it is.
Figure it out. Maybe this is the year.
And Malik, so obviously you have the game this coming weekend, the rivalry game. What else do you have coming up that we could see you on or check you out at? Obviously, you're posting your little food photos all over social media as well.
Absolutely. Just stay on the lookout for that Nor Whiskey coming to a tailgate, a home game soon. We'll be doing some events. And other than that, man, just keep cheering on the Irish. We got a good start. Hopefully we can continue to the season and get in that playoffs again.
So when are we going to see you at a Notre Dame game this year? Are you plan on getting out
I
there?
should be there for the UNC game, maybe the USC game. So we try to figure it out.
Well, then at some point, if I'm at one of those, I will definitely give you a holler and we can meet up and finally say hi for the second time ever. I mean, the first time was at a practice field when I handed you Rudy the golden gnome and you took a picture.
That's right. That's right.
So again, thank you for joining me, Malik. This is the We Are ND Nation podcast. Check us out all over the socials. We Are ND Nation, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wearendnation.com. And there you go. We're going to hopefully have another show next week, 2-0, as long as our phones and the crap that we use on a daily basis work, because we've had issues the past 2 days. So, Malik, till next week, go Irish.
Go Irish, man. See you later.
All right, so I'm going to stop recording. Where's my recording button? Cool, man. Thank you so much for making today work. Holy shit.
Let's get it. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Here come the Irish.
WeAreNDNation.com is where you can go to get all your latest Notre Dame news, notes, and highlights on the season.
Touchdown, Notre Dame.
Featuring the new We Are ND Nation podcast hosted by me, Evan J. Thomas, and special guests throughout the season.
No one comes into our house and pushes us around.
Make sure you check out the Tailgaters Show, the travels of Rudy the Golden Gnome, and more. Follow We Are ND Nation on the socials, wearenddnation.com.